Hello, Internet, and welcome to the FNAF Lore Explained for Dumbasses, where today we are tackling a topic so vast, so confusing, so utterly convoluted that it makes quantum physics look like a coloring book. That's right, we're diving headfirst into the Five Nights at Freddy's lore, and we're doing it for the dumbasses. Now, I say that with love because, let's be honest, this story is a mess. It's a beautiful, terrifying, spectacular mess, but a mess nonetheless. You've probably seen the jump scares, heard the creepy music box, and wondered, what is even happening? Is it about haunted robots? Is it about a guy who really hates his job? Is it just an elaborate ad for a pizza place you should never ever visit? The answer is yes, to all of the above and so much more. This is a story about family, betrayal, murder, and possessed animatronics. It's a ghost story wrapped in a corporate nightmare. So grab your flashlight, check your batteries, and whatever you do, don't look directly into the animatronic's eyes. We are going on a journey, a chronological expedition through the haunted halls of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. We're going to break down the key events, the major players, and the reasons why this seemingly simple indie horror game exploded into a global phenomenon with more lore than some ancient civilizations. Forget everything you think you know, because we're starting from scratch. We're going to untangle this web of purple guys, crying children, and questionable engineering decisions, one bite-sized piece at a time. This is your ultimate beginner's guide, your Lore 101, your how to understand FNAF without getting a migraine masterclass. It's going to be a wild ride, filled with more twists than a Fazbear brand pretzel. Before we start pointing fingers and naming names, let's set the stage. Imagine a place that's supposed to be the happiest on earth for a kid. A pizza parlor with arcade games, ball pits, and giant singing animal robots. Sounds great, right? Now imagine those robots are a little glitchy. Their eyes are a bit vacant, their movements are a little too stiff, and at night they seem to have a mind of their own. This is the world of Freddy Fazbear's, a chain of restaurants that has the worst safety record in the history of family entertainment. It's the kind of place where the slogan should be, come for the pizza, stay because you're trapped, and a giant chicken is staring at you from down the hall. It's a simple, yet terrifying premise that serves as the backdrop for a much darker story. Our goal here today is simple, to make sense of the nonsensical. We're going to peel back the layers of mystery, rumor, and retcons to get to the gooey, haunted center of this story. We'll talk about who built these metal monsters, what terrible things happened within the checkered walls of their pizzerias, and who the malevolent force is that just refuses to stay dead. By the end of this, you'll be able to confidently explain to your friends why you should never apply for a night security guard position, especially if the salary seems too good to be true. So, are you ready to finally understand the story that has kept theorists like me up at night for years? Good. Let's get started. Just keep an eye on those doors. You never know who might be listening. Every story has a beginning, and the story of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza begins with two men, Henry Emily and William Afton. Think of them as the Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak of creepy animatronic entertainment. Henry was the genius, the heart, the brilliant engineer who could create robots that seemed almost alive. He was the one who designed the friendly faces of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. His dream was to bring joy and wonder to children, to create a magical place where fantasy and fun came to life. He was the good guy, the visionary who just wanted to make kids smile with his incredible, state-of-the-art robotic performers. He poured his soul into the technology, making it groundbreaking and special. William Afton, on the other hand, was the businessman. He was the pragmatic, charming partner who handled the logistics and the money. He saw the commercial potential in Henry's creations and helped found Fazbear Entertainment, turning a whimsical idea into a sprawling corporate franchise. On the surface, they were the perfect team, the artist and the suit, the dreamer and the doer. Together, they built an empire of pizza and fun. But underneath that friendly corporate exterior, William Afton was hiding a dark, twisted secret. While Henry was focused on bringing joy, William was focused on something far more sinister. He was the snake in the garden, the wolf in sheep's clothing. The reason this story isn't about happy birthday parties, their partnership was the foundation of everything. Henry invented a special kind of animatronic technology, featuring spring locks. These were suits that could be worn by a human performer or function as a standalone animatronic. To wear it, you'd have to use a special hand crank to compress all the robotic parts against the inside of the suit, creating a cavity for a person. It was a brilliant but horrifyingly dangerous idea. Imagine wearing a suit lined with a tightly coiled metal skeleton that could snap shut at any moment. The slightest moisture, a sudden movement, or even just breathing too hard could trigger the locks, causing a catastrophic failure. This flawed, deadly invention is a perfect metaphor for their partnership, brilliant on the surface, but a death trap waiting to happen. So, you have two founders. Henry Emily, the good-hearted creator who wanted to make children happy, and William Afton, the cunning businessman who saw an opportunity. It's important to remember these two names because they are the opposing forces that drive the entire FNAF saga. One creates life, and the other takes it away. Their company, Fazbear Entertainment, becomes the stage for all the tragedy that follows. It's a company built on a dream, but that dream quickly turns into a nightmare, all because one of its founders was a monster in disguise. The animatronics Henry built to bring joy would soon become instruments of terror, all thanks to the dark ambitions of his partner, William Afton. Before the missing children, before the haunted pizzerias became legendary, there was a single, tragic event that kicked off the cycle of suffering. This is the story of the Bite of 83. To understand this, we need to meet a very important character, the crying child. This poor kid is widely believed to be William Afton's youngest son. He is terrified of the animatronics. Absolutely pants-wettingly can't sleep at night scared of them. And can you blame him? His father co-owns a restaurant chain full of giant, clunky robots with powerful jaws. To make matters worse, his older brother, Michael Afton, is a world-class bully who relentlessly torments him by wearing a foxy mask and scaring him. This is not a happy home. The tragedy unfolds at a birthday party, likely for the crying child himself, held at one of the early Fazbear locations, maybe even a sister location called Fredbear's Family Diner. The main attractions here are Fredbear, a golden version of Freddy, and Spring Bonnie, a golden version of Bonnie. The older brother Michael and his friends decide it would be hilarious to play a prank on the little guy. They grab the sobbing child and, as a joke, decide to lift him up to Fredbear's mouth, saying something like, "I think he wants to give Fredbear a big kiss." It's a moment of supreme teenage stupidity that is about to have horrific, life-altering consequences for everyone involved. In their cruel prank, they shove the crying child's head into the mouth of the Fredbear animatronic. And then, the unthinkable happens. Whether it was the pressure from the child's head or the moisture from his tears, the spring locks inside Fredbear's jaw failed catastrophically. The animatronic's mouth snaps shut with immense force, crushing the child's skull. This is the Bite of 83. It's a horrifying, brutal accident that marks the first real tragedy in the Afton family and the first major incident to stain the reputation of Fazbear Entertainment. The child is rushed to the hospital but ultimately dies, his life cut short by a combination of his brother's bullying and his father's dangerous creations. This event is the spark that lights the fuse of the entire FNAF lore. It traumatizes the older brother, Michael Afton, filling him with a guilt that will motivate his actions for the rest of his life. It deeply affects William Afton, but not in the way you'd expect a grieving father to be affected. Instead of sorrow, it seems to fuel his descent into madness and his twisted experiments with life, death, and something called Remnant. The Bite of 83 is the original sin of the franchise. It's the moment the magic of Henry's creations was irrevocably broken, proving that these animatronics were not just fun in games, but potential instruments of death. It's the first ghost in the machine, the first innocent life claimed by the jaws of Fazbear Entertainment. If the Bite of 83 was a tragic accident, the missing children incident was an act of pure evil. This is the event that truly turns the animatronics into the haunted monsters we know and fear. It all centers around our main villain, William Afton. Driven by jealousy, madness, or some twisted scientific curiosity, William Afton commits a series of murders that will define the legacy of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza forever. At one of the pizzeria locations, 5 children go missing. They were lured away from the main party area by someone dressed in a mascot costume, specifically the Spring Bonnie suit, one of those deadly spring lock suits that William knew how to operate safely. This person promised them cake or fun, but led them to a back room where they were murdered. That someone, of course, was William Afton. He killed these innocent children, and to hide the evidence, he stuffed their bodies inside the animatronic suits. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and a 5th one, Golden Freddy. This is the dark secret of the animatronics. They aren't just glitchy robots. They are metal tombs. The souls of these murdered children become trapped within the animatronics, unable to move on. Their confusion, their anger, and their pain manifest as a paranormal haunting. They possess the robots, and at night, when the pizzeria is closed, they wander the halls, searching for their killer. They don't understand what happened, and they see any adult, especially a night guard, as a potential threat, as their murderer. This horrific act explains why the animatronics are so aggressive in the games. They aren't just malfunctioning machines, they are being controlled by the vengeful spirits of dead kids. Think about it from their perspective. You're a child, You're at a birthday party, and a friendly bunny character leads you away, only for your life to be stolen. Now you're trapped inside a giant metal body, and the only person you can remember is your killer. The night guard, sitting alone in an office, looks a lot like an adult, a lot like the man who hurt you. So you try to get to him. This is the core of the haunting. The animatronics aren't evil, they are victims, lashing out in a desperate, confused rage. This event also introduces another key character, the puppet. Before the 5 children were killed, another child was murdered outside one of the restaurants. This was Henry Emily's daughter, Charlotte. She was locked outside, and William Afton drove by and killed her in an alley. Her spirit, full of anguish, possessed a tall, slender puppet animatronic inside the pizzeria. The puppet is different from the others. It's more aware, and it seems to orchestrate the haunting. It was the puppet who gave life to the other murdered children, helping their souls possess the main 4 animatronics. The puppet is the protector of the other spirits, guiding their quest for revenge against their killer, William Afton. So, the FNAF story is, at its heart, a twisted family drama. The Afton family is the epicenter of almost all the pain and suffering in the lore. Let's do a quick roll call of this deeply dysfunctional household. First, we have the patriarch, William Afton. As we've established, he's a genius engineer, a successful businessman, and, a serial child murderer. He is the villain of our story, plain and simple. His motivations are murky. Is it a twisted desire for immortality, a scientific curiosity about souls, or just pure, unadulterated evil? Whatever the reason, his actions destroy not only the lives of his victims, but also his own family, turning them into pawns in his horrifying legacy. Next up is the eldest son, Michael Afton. After causing the death of his younger brother in the bite of 83, Michael is totally consumed by guilt. He spends the rest of his life trying to undo his father's evil deeds. He's the protagonist in many of the games, the person we play as, the night guard going from one haunted location to another. He's trying to find his father and put an end to the cycle of murder and haunting. He is, in a way, seeking redemption. He willingly puts himself in mortal danger time and time again, facing the monstrous creations his father unleashed, all in an attempt to free the trapped souls and stop William for good. He is the reluctant hero of the saga. Then there's the youngest son, the crying child, whose name is never officially confirmed. Fans often call him Evan. He is the victim of the bite of 83. His story is short and tragic, but his death is the catalyst for so much of what follows. His fear of the animatronics was justified, and his death served as the Afton family's first major crack. And finally, there's the daughter, Elizabeth Afton. Like her father, she was fascinated by the animatronics, especially a new clown-like one named Circus Baby, which was designed specifically for her. William warned her to stay away from it, knowing it was a death trap he had designed to capture children. But Elizabeth didn't listen. One day, when her father wasn't looking, Elizabeth approached Circus Baby. The animatronics programming took over. It dispensed ice cream to lure her closer, and then a giant claw shot out from its stomach, pulling her inside and killing her. Just like the other children, her soul possessed the animatronics she was killed by. She becomes Circus Baby, the leader of a new group of haunted funtime animatronics. Her voice, a sweet little girl's, now speaks from inside a killer clown robot, forever tied to her father's monstrous creation. So to recap, one serial killer father, one guilt-ridden hero son, one son who was killed by a robot, and one daughter who was killed by and became a robot. It's not exactly the Brady Bunch. When the FNAF lore first started, we didn't know William Afton's name. We only knew him through these cryptic 8-bit minigames that showed a smiling, purple-colored man committing some seriously heinous acts. The fans, well, they just called him Purple Guy. This simple purple sprite became the face of evil in the franchise. He was the mysterious figure who would show up, murder children, and then vanish, leaving behind a trail of death and haunted machinery. The color purple became totally synonymous with William Afton, acting as a visual representation of the shadow he cast over Fazbear Entertainment. He was the ghost in the machine before the ghosts were even in the machines. So why purple? Was he literally a purple man? No, probably not. It's most likely just a design choice in the old school pixel art, to make him stand out. Maybe it even represented a security guard uniform or him lurking in the shadows. But the name stuck, and honestly, it perfectly captures his enigmatic and sinister nature. Purple Guy is William Afton in his prime, the man who single-handedly orchestrated the infamous missing children incident. He used his knowledge of the pizzeria's layouts and the safety features of the spring-lock suits to carry out his crimes undetected. He was a monster, hiding in plain sight, the co-founder of a children's restaurant who used his own establishment as his personal hunting ground. The reign of the Purple Guy eventually came to an end, but not in the way you might think. Years after the murders, the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location was left to rot. The spirits of the 5 children he murdered still haunted the place. One night, William Afton returned to the abandoned pizzeria, maybe to dismantle the animatronics and destroy the evidence of his crimes for good. He took an axe and broke apart Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy one by one. But by destroying their physical bodies, he unknowingly released their spirits. The 5 ghostly children cornered him in the safe room, the very room where he had committed his murders and where cameras couldn't see. Terrified and trapped, William Afton saw an old, decrepit suit leaning against the wall, the spring Bonnie costume he had used to lure the children to their deaths. In a panic, he climbed inside, thinking it would hide him from the ghosts. He stood up and laughed, believing he had outsmarted them once again, but the room was old and leaky, and water was dripping from the ceiling. A single drop of water landed on the spring locks inside the suit. The mechanisms failed, snapping shut violently and impaling him from every direction. It was a slow, agonizing death, a perfect dose of poetic justice. He was killed by his own creation, in the same way he had killed his victims, trapped inside a smiling golden rabbit. You would think that dying a horrific death inside a furry death trap would be the end of William Afton. But in the world of FNAF, death is rarely the final chapter. William Afton's story doesn't end with his demise inside the spring Bonnie suit. In fact, it's just a new beginning for his reign of terror. Because of his evil deeds and his twisted experiments with Remnant, a supernatural substance believed to be a mix of metal and human souls that can bind a spirit to an object, his soul doesn't move on. Instead, it becomes fused with the animatronic suit he died in. William Afton, the purple guy, is reborn as a new monster, Springtrap. Decades later, a horror attraction called Fazbear's Fright is built, designed to capitalize on the spooky urban legends of the long-closed pizzerias. The owners scavenge for old relics from the original locations to make their attraction more authentic. They find the boarded-up safe room and discover the rotting, decrepit spring Bonnie suit with Afton's corpse still inside. Thinking they found the ultimate prop, they bring it to their horror house. But they've done something terrible. They've unleashed William Afton once again. As Springtrap, he is a shambling, terrifying wreck of metal, wires, and decaying flesh. He is not just haunted, he is the haunting. And as one of the phone calls in the game famously says, he always comes back. Springtrap is the embodiment of William Afton's twisted immortality. He's a persistent, malevolent force that cannot be easily destroyed. The horror attraction Fazbear's Fright burns to the ground, but he survives. He continues to evolve, rebuilding himself from scraps and becoming even more monstrous, later known as Scraptrap. His son, Michael Afton, continues to hunt him, trying to put an end to his father's evil for good. This all leads to a final, fiery confrontation orchestrated by the original founder, Henry Emily. Henry gathers all the remaining haunted animatronics, including Springtrap and Michael, in a labyrinthine pizzeria designed to be a tomb. He then sets the entire place on fire, hoping to finally destroy them all and free the souls. But even that might not have been enough. The saying he always comes back is the thesis statement for William Afton's character. His evil is so profound, so deeply embedded in the fabric of Fazbear Entertainment, that it finds a way to endure. His consciousness is believed to have survived the fire by being scanned into a computer system, becoming a digital virus known as Glitchtrap. This virus can infect video games, computer programs, and even people's minds, allowing William Afton to continue his reign of terror in the digital age. He is a plague that can't be cured, a ghost in the machine that has become a machine himself, always finding a new way to cheat death and return. So what makes Five Nights at Freddy's so terrifying? It's not just the jump scares, though those definitely get your heart racing. The true horror of FNAF is built on a foundation of deep psychological dread. The first and most obvious reason is the uncanny valley. The animatronics are designed to be friendly and cartoonish, but they're just off. Their movements are jerky and unnatural, their eyes are lifeless, and their fixed smiles feel more like menacing grimaces. They exist in that creepy space between being a cute character and a soulless machine, and our brains are hardwired to be unsettled by that. It's the feeling that something familiar has been corrupted, turned into a nightmare version of itself. Another key element is the feeling of powerlessness. In most of the games, you are not a super soldier with a shotgun. You're a regular person, a night guard, stuck in a tiny office with limited resources. You can't fight back. You can't run away. Your only defenses are closing doors, turning on lights, and watching cameras, all of which consume a very limited power supply. The game forces you into a state of constant anxiety. Every action you take drains your precious energy, bringing you one step closer to being defenseless. It's a brilliant game mechanic that builds tension, making you feel trapped and vulnerable as you listen to the thudding footsteps getting closer and closer down the hall. The sound design is also a masterclass in horror. FNAF is a game you listen to as much as you watch. The ambient noise is filled with unsettling sounds, the distant, distorted laughter of children, the clanking of metal in a dark corridor, the garbled static of the phone calls. You learn to recognize the audio cues for each animatronic. That giggle means Balloon Boy is near. That pirate song means Foxy is getting restless. The silence is often even more terrifying than the noise because it means you don't know where they are. Your imagination runs wild, filling in the blanks with the worst possible scenarios, making every creak and groan of the old building feel like a direct threat. But the deepest, most enduring horror comes from the story itself. This isn't just about killer robots, it's about the murder of children. It's a story that taps into our most primal fears: the loss of innocence, the corruption of childhood joy, and the idea of evil hiding in a place that's supposed to be safe. The fact that the monsters are possessed by the souls of victims adds a layer of tragedy to the terror. You're not just being hunted by a machine, you're being hunted by a tormented spirit. This combination of psychological dread, resource management anxiety, brilliant sound design, and a deeply disturbing narrative is what elevates FNAF from a simple jump scare game to a true horror phenomenon. So there you have it, the FNAF lore explained for dumbasses. It's a story that starts with two founders, Henry Emily and William Afton, and their dream of a magical pizza place. But that dream is shattered by William's evil, leading to the tragic bite of 83 and the horrifying missing children incident. These events create a legion of haunted animatronics possessed by the vengeful souls of children, including William's own daughter, Elizabeth. The whole mess is a dark family saga, with the heroic son Michael trying to stop his villainous father William, who just keeps coming back as the monstrous Springtrap and the digital virus glitch trap. It's a lot, I know, but why do we love it so much? Why has this convoluted story of haunted fursuits captured the imagination of millions? I think it's because the creator, Scott Cawthon, didn't just give us a game, he gave us a mystery. The lore wasn't spelled out in long cutscenes. It was hidden in cryptic mini-games, in subtle background details, and in distorted phone calls. It invited us, the players and the theorists, to become detectives. We were the ones who pieced together the timeline, who gave names to the faceless sprites like Purple Guy, and who debated endlessly about the meaning of every clue. The story is as much ours as it is Scott's, built by a community obsessed with solving the puzzle. The appeal also lies in its brilliant blend of genres. It's a ghost story, a sci-fi thriller, a corporate satire, and a tragic family drama all rolled into one. The characters, though sometimes mysterious, are compelling. We feel the tragedy of the murdered children. We root for Michael's quest for redemption, and we are utterly terrified by the unkillable persistence of William Afton. The simple premise of Survive the Night opens the door to a universe of deep, dark storytelling that continues to expand with every new game, book, and movie. It's a rabbit hole that, once you fall in, is incredibly hard to climb out of. Ultimately, Five Nights at Freddy's is a modern campfire story. It's a digital urban legend that we all get to share and build upon. So, the next time you see that grinning bear, remember the key points. Two founders, one good, Henry, one evil, William. William kills kids and stuffs them in robots. The robots get haunted. William's whole family is a tragic mess. And William Afton, say it with me now, he always comes back. It's a simple core for a wonderfully complex story. And that's why, after all these years, we're still checking the cameras, saving our power, and ready for one more night at Freddy's. But hey, you already know what I am gonna say now, don't you? That's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Extra. A word message from me. God, I love game theory. There's just something about the thrill of the unknown, the satisfaction of connecting the dots, and the collective aha moments that make FNAF more than just jump scares and killer animatronics. It's a fandom experience, a never-ending riddle that keeps us coming back for more, no matter how many times the story twists or the animatronics reboot. So whether you're a seasoned theorist, a casual player who just likes a good scare, or someone who can't resist a deep dive into digital mysteries, you're part of a legacy now, a community that turns haunted pizza into internet legend. And who knows, maybe the next theory is right around the corner, waiting for you to piece it together. Until then, keep your doors locked, your cameras up, and your mind open. Because in the world of Five Nights at Freddy's, the story never really ends. Thanks for watching. And remember, in the FNAF universe, there's always one more night.